You'd be shocked to know how many animals are in miserable conditions spread out in circuses and zoos around the world. But some kind souls help free these animals and let them go into the wild. Today, we'll be watching these heartwarming moments when these animals are freed for the first time in their lives. These chimps had spent their entire lives in cages and never had the chance to touch grass. Watch how they are amazed and even shocked to see the greenery as they step on the soil for the very first time. Watch how they take no time to adjust to the forest, proving that these animals are built to stay out in the jungles and must never be caged. This chimpanzee was freed by the famous anthropologist Jane Goodall. Just watch how the chimp comes back to thank her. Watch how this deer couldn't control its excitement when it saw the outdoors after a long time. It just couldn't wait to start its new life as it galloped into the jungle. This mighty bird is the condor, which is an endangered species of vulture. Watch how this bird just checks its wings and then flies off into the mountains. Florida panthers are another endangered species, and these amazing rescuers managed to save this panther and free it. It was hesitant to get out at first, as he couldn't believe its eyes, but then he jumped on the opportunity. Watch how this baby bear took its first steps into the wild. Unlike its mother, it had never actually been exposed to the wild. God bless those who released these 4 Siberian tigers into the wild. You can see their excitement as they eagerly run into the open forests. They must have waited for this day for so long. This lion had spent its entire life in a small cage. When it was freed, he was stunned to see just how much space was available to him alone. You have to feel for this poor guy. Watch this heartwarming moment when hundreds of pigeons are set free. Imagine how many new lives would be started just because of these kind people. I can't imagine the immense effort it took to transport this huge whale back to where it belonged. This group of spider monkeys were released into the wild. Watch how this one monkey was a bit too afraid to leave his shell. Eventually, however, he embraced his new reality and stepped out into his new home. These poor chimps spent all of their life at a biomedical facility where they were used for testing. Watch the moment when these poor chimps touched grass for the very first time. Don't they just look adorable? This is the clip when a beautiful Bengal tigress was released back into the forest. She had been found by the villagers, and the rescue team caught her to ensure that she posed no threat to the people there. This eagle had spent its entire life in a cage. Watch how it immediately flies up and goes into the trees when it's released into the wild, showing how it deserved this life of freedom. This beautiful tigress is one of 7 tigers that were released into the wild by this rescue foundation. She just couldn't wait a second more inside captivity as she rushed out into the wild. This possum was a bit hesitant to go out into the wild. But once she realized that this was going to be her reality now, she immediately went out and clung to her new favorite tree. The eagle is a bird that should never be held captive in a small cage. Watch how this eagle flies away, as she couldn't be more uncomfortable inside this box. It's another aesthetically pleasing video of pigeons being freed. Watch how they all remain in symmetry even after they're released. This leopard was very excited once she was released back into the wild after a lengthy recovery from an injury. This gray fox was released into the wild for the first time ever, and his reaction showcases that these animals deserve to be in the wild. These 2 women made a great decision to free this beautiful bird. It took a few seconds to consider everything around her before she just flew away. This coyote was also done with life inside of a cage, and just couldn't spare the possibility of life in a jungle. Watch how excited this beaver gets when he is finally released into his natural habitat. The first thing it did was go for a nice swim. These cows spent the entire winter inside, as there was plenty of snow. And today's the first time when they were released into the open to see the warm sun. You can just see the happiness in the expressions on their face.